Hey guys, welcome back. So last chapter in Pride and Prejudice was absolutely huge because Jane and Bingley are engaged, guys, finally. And I feel like basically last chapter proved that Jane and Bingley could have been engaged approximately 30 chapters ago if everyone would have just left them alone. Because the second that Bingley was allowed to follow his own feelings, he comes back to Longbourn. He comes back again to Longbourn. Mrs. Bennet somehow manages to get those two alone in a room together. And boom! The happiest, wisest, and most reasonable end. And now, Bingley has basically moved in to Longbourn. He's showing up before breakfast. He's staying until after supper. And Jane, who basically spent the last few chapters telling us how indifferent she was, now apparently cannot even pay attention to any other human being if Bingley is in the room. Jane, we saw you, girl. But there is still one large, unresolved situation here, guys. And that is Darcy. Now, Elizabeth knows that he probably approved of Bingley coming back to see Jane. She knows that he secretly saved her entire family from the whole Lydia disaster. And she knows that she completely misjudged him. And at this point, our girl, super duper, likes him. But the problem is, Darcy has absolutely no reason to know all this. The last time this man actually told Elizabeth how he felt about her, she rejected him hard. So as of right now, Jane and Bingley have their second chance. Now I need to know if Elizabeth and Darcy are even going to get one chance, guys. And we are running out of this novel. It is all gas, no brakes. We got what, guys? Like 5 chapters left? Let's get into it. So let's travel back on 200 plus years in time to see whether Darcy and Elizabeth are going to come together. Here we go. All right, guys, so here we go. Chapter 56. Jane and Bingley are engaged. And what's going on with Darcy and Elizabeth? I don't know. But guys, we got no time left. Let's head on right into the novel to see what's going on. Here we go. Chapter 56. So one morning, about a week after Bingley's engagement with Jane had been formed, as he and the females of the family were sitting together in the dining room, their attention was suddenly drawn to the window by the sound of a carriage. Okay. Is it Darcy, guys? Jane Austen, please. Now, I don't think it would be, but we're at Longbourn, right? It's a week after Bingley and Jane's engagement. They're chilling. They're sitting together in the dining room. Maybe they just had dinner, right? So maybe around like 2, 3, 4 o'clock, sometime around there. And their attention was suddenly drawn to the window. There was a carriage. So it's a carriage, guys. So it's gotta be of someone of importance. Who is it? Right? I mean, Darcy could have come with the carriage, but we've also seen him kind of traveling on horseback as well throughout the whole novel. Not throughout the whole novel, but at some points. But who else would have been a carriage? I mean, maybe Mr. Collins. And guys, if it is, I'm throwing this book out, okay? Who else? Maybe Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Why would she be coming here? I don't know. But I would think maybe carriage, maybe Charlotte. Charlotte and unfortunately Mr. Collins. But here we go. And they perceived a chaise and four driving up the lawn. Yes, so a chaise and four was what was the beginning of a novel, right? Where I believe Bingley was coming to Netherfield in a chaise and four. That was like the whole drama in the first chapter of the novel. So someone of high importance, I would think. A lot of money. Let's see. Now, it was too early in the morning for visitors. Oh, so it's not even dinner. We're like in the breakfast. Maybe we're having breakfast. We could have breakfast in the dining room, maybe. But I think that there was a breakfast room as well. But anyway, it was too early in the morning for visitors. And besides, the equipage did not answer to that of any of their neighbors. So this is someone far away. Bingley, the Collins, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Who else would have a chaise and four? Only those 3. I mean, Georgiana, but why would Georgiana be coming down, right? So it's got to be someone of highfalutins. Here we go. Now the horses were post, and neither the carriage nor the livery of the servant who preceded it were familiar to them. Okay, so now this rules out Darcy, because I remember in earlier chapters, Elizabeth saw the livery of whoever was riding the horse, or someone, right, that was riding the horse. She knows Darcy's livery. And now, no livery, the livery of the servant, was not familiar to them. So we're bringing out Darcy. Goodbye, Darcy. Oh, guys. I mean, I would think that she would know maybe Charlotte's, but let's see. Now, as it was certain, however, that somebody was coming, Bingley instantly prevailed on Miss Bennet to avoid the confinement of such an intrudement. Yeah, instantly prevailed on Miss Bennet. So, of course, it's Jane. Bingley is the dude now, guys. So, somebody was coming. Bingley instantly was victorious to basically avoid the confinement of such an intrusion and walk away with him into the shrubbery. Ooh, so Jane, it seems, is going away with Bingley. They're going out of the house, it seems, into the shrubbery. And yeah, I mean, Bingley is already taking his fiancé roles very, very seriously, because he sees somebody coming. He's like, my girl ain't gonna be confined with whoever's coming up. Let's get the helly away from here and let's walk into the shrubbery. So we got to clap for that, right? We got to clap for that. He's looking out for Jane, and he's like, come on, girl, let's have some time alone now into the shrubbery. So they both set off, and the conjectures of the remaining three continued, though with little satisfaction. So in the earlier page, it was mentioned that it was the females of the household were chilling with Bingley, but now there's only three remaining. So I would assume Elizabeth, for sure. Mrs. Bennet, for sure. Now there's Mary and Kitty, which would be a total of 4, but only 3 continued off. I would have to say Mary, she's chilling. She's in her, she's in her books. She's chilling in her apartment. She's reading. So I would think that it would be Kitty, Elizabeth, and Mrs. Bennet left over. And they tried to come up with conjectures. They were trying to make hypotheses as to who was here. But we don't know. We can't spot the livery. So, little satisfaction is made. Till the door was thrown open and their visitor entered. It was Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Ugh, what is she doing here? She's connected with Darcy. She's got no blood relation to Bingley, right? Bingley's at Netherfield. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is at Rosings. And Lady Catherine de Bourgh is the aunt of Darcy. Now, if Darcy was here, I could understand why she's here. Also, she's the patroness of Mr. Collins, and Mr. Collins via, his wife, Charlotte. But once again, the Collinses aren't here. What is she doing here? I don't know. Now, we have to think about her daughter, right? Miss de Bourgh, who, through the grapevine, through the gossip of the town, was supposed to marry Darcy. But once again, he's not here. So I don't know why she's here. Let's find it out. Oh, gosh. This is not going to be good, guys. This is not going to be good. Look at that face. I don't like it already. But I like the hat. You always got to give a compliment. So I like the hat. I like the dress. But, we'll see how this goes, guys. Now, they were all, of course, intending to be surprised. They were all, of course, intended to be surprised. What is she doing here? But their astonishment was beyond their expectation. Yeah, what is she doing here, guys? Something's up. Something's up, and I don't like it, but let's keep it reading. And on the part of Mrs. Bennet and Kitty, though she was perfectly unknown to them, even inferior to what Elizabeth felt. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember, guys, I don't think Mrs. Bennet and Kitty ever met this woman, right? They only heard about her through Mr. Collins. They've never formally met her. So, yeah, they're astonished, right? But even more so was what Elizabeth was feeling, because she knows how Lady Catherine de Bourgh is. She knows that she's, just right, ungracious. And she knows that she's Darcy's aunt. So she's really like, what the hell is going on? And that's what I want to know, too. Well, let's read on. Now she entered the room, so Lady Catherine de Bourgh entered the room with an air more than unusually ungracious. Girl, yeah, we saw from that picture. She coming in mean mugging, and oh, stately looking. Okay, girl, okay. And made no other reply to Elizabeth's salutation than a slight inclination of the head. Girl, we are already uncivil in this joint, in this household. Elizabeth came and said salutations because clearly she's the one that's the connection, right? Mrs. Bennet, Kitty, ain't the connection here. It's Elizabeth. So Elizabeth's coming up, giving her some, probably, with all decorum, all the civilities of good breeding, giving salutations to Lady Catherine de Bourgh. She's strolling right on through with okay. And sat down without saying a word. What is going on here? I don't like this. The only thing I could think of is Lady Catherine de Bourgh was in the back end trying to marry off her daughter with Darcy. And Darcy, being a gentleman, very, very respectable, but also, from what I've been seeing, honest to a default. This guy is just a straight shooter. He was probably like, no, my girl is Lizzie. And now she's coming over the house, gonna be talking it off. I don't know. That's my hypothesis, but let's go. She sat down without saying a word, and Elizabeth had mentioned her name to her mother on her ladyship's entrance. So yeah, she's like, this is Miss Catherine de Bourgh, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, though no request of introduction had been made. So she's coming in, just plopping her booty down. No request of introduction has been made. Girl, you're the visitor. Mrs. Bennet is the hostess. What are you doing? But, she's on another level, guys. But let's keep it going. Now, Mrs. Bennet, all amazement. For once, she's amazed, right? She's usually the one that's uncivil and doing all the crazy stuff. But for once, she's all amazement, guys. Though flattered by having a guest of such high importance. Yeah, because that's going to, give her a little notches on the belt. She's like, oh my gosh, Lady Catherine, a Lady Catherine de Bourgh is in my house? Ah! So she's all flattered by having a guest of such high importance, received her with the utmost politeness. Yes, because status rules. So Mrs. Bennet's like, she's higher up. I'm going to do my very best to be all polite to this, which is interesting because she is a lady, for sure. But when Darcy came over, still, she had her little prejudices about him, didn't really give him the most respect, even though he's still part of the landed gentry, but he has way more money than the Bennets do. But just an interesting fact for Mrs. Bennet. Now, after sitting for a moment in silence, she said very stiffly to Elizabeth, ooh, okay, now this has to be Lady Catherine de Bourgh talking. And she goes, well, I hope you are well, Miss Bennet. That lady, I suppose, is your mother? Girl, who else would it be? Don't be coming and swinging. Now we, Mrs. Bennet and I, we have some relationship. She has her faults of her own. But girl, you don't be coming into this house and now be talking like that about my mom. Not in this household. And with that type of air, I don't like it. I don't like your attitude. That lady, I suppose, is your mother? Girl, you didn't even introduce yourself. Now, what are we doing? You expecting everybody to just drop to your knees to introduce the hosts of the house to you? Okay. And Elizabeth replied very concisely that she was. Yes, lady, for sure. Yes, madam, right? Okay. And that, I suppose, is one of your sisters. Now, what are we doing here? You honestly think that you're going to come into somebody else's house and be introduced to the visitor, basically? No, the visitor, I'm assuming, would have to do all of the introductions. Guys, something is going to pop off soon. I don't know what, but you don't be coming into somebody else's house acting like this. And they're in the room. Right? They're in the room. You can't be like, oh, are you Elizabeth's mother? Or just introduce yourself, right? And have the introduction go that way. Speak directly to the person. No. And for your sisters, and that, I suppose, that, they're people. They're people. That is an object. That, I suppose, is one of your sisters. Girl, you got it all wrong. But sit your booty down. Tell us what you're going to pop off on about, just so that this day can go by faster. Goodbye. And I'm glad Bingley and Jane are out of this situation. I wish they all would have just went to the shrubbery and, well, first of all, the door swung right open, mainly because probably the servant opened it. But, girl, we should have just pretended nobody was home. We were all in Meryton shopping away. But anyway, Mrs. Bennet now comes and says, "Yes, madame," said Mrs. Bennet, delighted to speak to a lady, Catherine. Any lady at all, she would have been delighted to speak to. "She is my youngest girl, but one." That's Kitty. "My youngest of all is lately married, and my eldest is somewhere about the ground, walking with a young man who, I believe, will soon become a part of the family." Girl, go on. Go and tell her, okay? Yeah, even though the Lydia problem is settled and she is married. So that's a success. Check. The youngest is already married. That's a check. And my eldest somewhere is walking the ground with her beau. They're going to be, they're engaged. They're going to be part of the, he's going to be part of the family. Okay, go on. State your case, Mrs. Bennet. Here we go. Lady Catherine comes back and says, "You have a very small park here." Girl, what? Okay. Do we not know how a conversation's supposed to go, guys? When somebody says, my youngest daughter's married, they're all walking around, the oldest one walking around the park with Bingley. What are you supposed to say, guys? Congratulations. Yeah, right? That's just how conversation works. Congratulations. Oh, I wish them all the best, right? That's how a conversation's supposed to go. No. Clearly steamrolling right over her. "You have a very small park here." Now, I remember from what you guys told me in the comments and from reading that Rosings isn't as big as it could be either. I mean, it's not Pemberley, but we all know Lady Catherine's about status, and she is grappling on to the status rank as much as she can, right? Because she got her own problems. So she's going to make it known that where she comes from is much higher society than what it really is. So she's coming right straight out and saying, "You have a very small park here, very small grounds, right? Longbourn Park," which is interesting because not once has it been called Longbourn Park. It's just been called Longbourn, right? There's Netherfield Park, Rosings Park, but, just kind of putting it out there. But, yeah. So that's what she said after a short silence. So she didn't even interact with the past statement of the two daughters, one being married, one almost being married. And Mrs. Bennet comes back and says, "Well, it is nothing in comparison of Rosings, my lady, I dare say." Girl, go on travel to Rosings and you'll see that it ain't no Pemberley, right? But I assure you, it is much larger than Sir William Lucas's. She knows the connection. Girl, you want to come into my house and start trouble? I'm going to dig too. Okay? Because civilities, throw those right out the window. It's much larger than Sir William Lucas's, which, remember, is Charlotte's father, who married your clergyman, right? Who married married Mr. Collins. So, okay, putting that in there. Gloves are off, guys. Here we go. Lady Catherine de Bourgh comes back and says, "Well, this must be a most inconvenient sitting room for the evening in summer. The windows are full west." What? Who? Did they have the building plans? No. I mean, Longbourn has probably been passed down from generation to generation. Nobody had the building plans of, the sitting room. The windows are fully west. Because generally, if you're in the northern hemisphere, usually you want like a southern-facing room for all the sunlight, for the windows. Who cares? But we know that this girl is all about architecture, furniture, the curtains, all that jazz. Once again, coming in and just steamrolling right over Mrs. Bennet, not even mentioning, or interacting with what was previously said. This ain't no conversation. This is just someone's firing shots and somebody's just trying to be as polite as possible, but also kind of digging as well. You got it in this type of situation, but whatever. So this must be a most inconvenient sitting room for the evening. In summer, the windows are full west. Okay, girl, calm it down. Calm it down. Don't even ask if she wants any refreshments at this point. Just make it, just make it go. Here we go. Now, Mrs. Bennet assured her that they never sat there after dinner, and then added, "May I take the liberty of asking your ladyship whether you left Mr. and Mrs. Collins well?" Mrs. Bennet is still trying, guys, right? That she's being respectful. She's answering the question that Lady Catherine is throwing down. She assured her that, no, they never sat there after dinner, because that's how a conversation goes, guys, okay? We all know how conversations are supposed to go. Lady Catherine didn't get the hint. Never taught that, but, But also, Mrs. Bennet is now guiding towards, it seems like, a conversation that they both can talk about. "May I take the liberty of asking you, your ladyship, how is Mr. and Mrs. Collins? They doing well? Because that we have in common. We both know Charlotte. We both know Mr. Collins. How they doing?" Even though, Mrs. Bennet and Mr. Collins, right? They got past beef. But she's still trying to be very civil. The Lady Catherine comes back, says, "Yes, very well. I saw them the night before last." Okay. What are we going to take from that? I guess nothing, but they're doing good. They're doing good. Now, Elizabeth now expected that she would produce a letter for her from Charlotte. Yeah, why are you here? Nobody, no blood relations here. Charlotte's not here. Darcy's not here. What are you doing here? So she thought that she was just going to whip out a letter and be like, "Hey, this is from Charlotte," as it seemed the only probable motive for her calling. Yeah, but no letter appeared, and she was completely puzzled. Why are we here? If it's not Charlotte, it's got to be about Darcy, and I'm thinking that it's got to be about her daughter trying to marry with Darcy, and Darcy probably was like, "Nah, I ain't doing that. I got one lady, and one lady in my thoughts, and that's Elizabeth Bennet." Well, let's see. Now, Mrs. Bennet, with great civility, begged her ladyship to take some Girl, don't even ask, okay? Drop the refreshments. I said it before, I'm going to say it now. She don't deserve any refreshments. But Mrs. Bennet is being, the utmost, most polite that she could ever be. And as far as this whole book, she's coming in. The greatest civility that she's got. "Would you like some refreshments?" But Lady Catherine, very resolutely, so very determinedly, and not very politely, declined eating anything, and then, rising up, said to Elizabeth, "Yeah, here it comes, guys. She can't help it anymore. It has to be something with Darcy, but let's check it out. Miss Bennet." Oof. "There seemed to be a prettyish kind of a little wilderness on one side of your lawn." Oh, okay. She's trying to get Lizzie by herself. Okay. It has to be about Darcy. She came in a chaise and four. Now, I don't know if Darcy is even here. He might be in the carriage. I don't know. But she wants to get her outside, out of the house. Seems like there seems to be a prettyish kind of a little wilderness on one side of your lawn. But just the way of acknowledging that you got something nice is just a little weird for me, guys. There's a prettyish kind of little wilderness. There's like a lovely manicured lawn that you got, but no, pretty-ish. Not any other adjectives that you could think of? No? Pretty-ish? Whatever. "I should be glad to take a turn in it, if you will favor me with your company." Okay. She's trying to get her away. Elizabeth, yeah, I mean, she knows what's up. There's got to be some type of connection with Darcy, but let's keep it going. "Go, my dear," cried her mother, and show her ladyship about the different walks. I think she will be pleased with the hermitage. Yeah, of course, because she once already kind of said, you have a small park here. And now she's like, oh, you have a prettyish piece of landscape. So Mrs. Bennet is going to hop right on that and be like, yeah, go show her everything. Show her everything, all the different walks we have in this small park. And the hermitage, right? The secluded place, I would assume. Show her all the beauty of the park. Okay, here we go. We're going to get down to business. Now, Elizabeth obeyed and, running into her own room for her parasol, attended her noble guest downstairs. They're going outside, the both of them alone. Now, gosh, if Darcy is in the carriage, guys, it's a chaise and four, so you could fit more people in there. This would abide by the rules that somebody would be there and a female and a male, the lady and the man could talk. Lady Catherine de Bourgh would be there. I don't know. We'll keep it going. So Elizabeth attends her guests downstairs, and as they passed through the hall, Lady Catherine opened the doors into the dining parlor and drawing room, and pronouncing them, after a short survey, to be decent-looking rooms, walked on. She cannot help herself, guys. She just basically bashed the west window room. But now all of a sudden, the dining room and the dining parlor and the drawing room, they're decent looking. That's the best compliment you're going to get from Lady Catherine in this situation. So she opening the doors, and I love how she's literally looking at the different rooms. She's opening the doors. She thinks this is an open house, guys. She thinks this is an open house. She's going to one room. She's going into another. And she's like, oh, they're decent. Okay. And just walking on, just like that. Oh, okay. Girl, you in your own little world, but whatever. There it is. After a short survey. So she's opening doors. She's like, yeah, this is good. Something's up. Something is up, guys. I'm going to just keep saying it again. Either it has to be about Darcy. It's either he's on the premises and she is going to be the one that allows them to talk together, and this will be the moment, guys, or she's going to talk about Darcy and be like, you ain't coming between the marriage between my daughter and Darcy. What is it? I need to know. Let's do this. Now, her carriage remained at the door, and Elizabeth saw that her waiting woman was in it. Okay, so she came with, obviously, she ain't going to drive the carriage by herself, so she has a waiting woman that came along for the ride. Okay, they proceeded in silence along the gravel walk that led to the cosp, right, the cosp that both Elizabeth and her father had to come to clear their head, right. And Elizabeth was determined to make no effort for conversation with a woman who was now more than usually insolent and disagreeable. Yeah, more than usually rude and disagreeable. She was determined to make no effort. They're just going to be walking parallel to each other. No, she's not going to start the conversation. And, okay, go be it, Lizzie, right? Because something's going on. Usually, as for what Mr. Collins has said, she's condescending, which means, back in the day, friendly. But that's not what we're seeing here. Something is wrong. Now, I'm thinking that it has to be the latter from what I said. How it's going to be about Darcy, and girl, you ain't coming between my daughter and Darcy. She is much more disagreeable, much more rude than she normally is. So, okay. So, who is going to be talking here? I think it says said she, so the previous paragraph is all about Elizabeth, so Elizabeth is going to say this. She says, how could I ever think her like her nephew, said she, as she looked in her face. So, I'm assuming, said she said this internally. No way did she say this in a decibel in which Lady Catherine could hear. But how could I ever think her like her nephew? She thinks highly of Darcy. That's the connection. That's her nephew. Lady Catherine's nephew is Darcy. How could I ever think her like her nephew? How could I think of her as how I think of Darcy, because she, is in gratitude towards Darcy. She thinks that he's all that in a bag of chips. So how could she ever translate that type of gratitude towards his aunt? Well, let's see. Now, as soon as they enter the cosp, now before I continue, right, the cosp is kind of like an enclosed wilderness per se of trees. So it's going to be, a place where nobody could really hear. But we do have Bingley and Jane roaming around outside. They're in the shrubbery. I don't know how close the shrubbery is to the cosp, but maybe they might be overhearing this. I don't know. Just throwing that out, but let's keep it going. Now, as soon as they entered the cosp, Lady Catherine began in the following manner. Gosh, okay. You can be at no loss, Miss Bennet, to understand the reason of my journey hither. She's like, girl, you already know why I'm here. Okay, so let's cut to the chase. You can be at no loss to understand why the helly I had to journey all the way from Kent down here. Something's gonna pop off. Your own heart, your own conscience, I must tell you why I come. Guys, something is gonna go down, because she coming right out the gate saying, your own heart, your own conscience, right? Right from wrong, knowing right from wrong. That all must tell you why I come. You did something wrong. I know you did something wrong. You know, according to Lady Catherine de Bourgh, you know, but we know. Everyone knows that Elizabeth has no idea what is going on. She thought she was coming with a letter from Charlotte, right? And I'm trying to put the pieces all together. At this point, right, Lizzie is in very much in awe, in total gratitude towards Darcy, right? And Darcy proposed. Elizabeth said no, harshly. So for all the signs that she's giving him now, it doesn't seem that she's that into him, right? So she thinks that he's just kind of slipping away from her. Now, Lady Catherine de Bourgh's coming up here and being like, you know what you did. Girl, we don't know, okay? We know that it's got to be about Darcy, but we don't know exactly. So let's keep it going. Now, Elizabeth looked with unaffected astonishment. Yeah, because why are you here? Why are we here? Right? She's still astonished from before, so hasn't really changed. What's going on? Let's go. Indeed, you are mistaken, madame. Yeah, I don't know why you're here. I have not been at all able to account for the honor of seeing you here. I have no idea. I can't account why you've traveled all the way from Kent down to Longbourn. Your guess is as good as mine. Miss Bennet, replied her ladyship in an angry tone. Oh boy. Be all serious, Kiki, okay? Here we go. Miss Bennet, you ought to know that I am not to be trifled with. So she is coming in hot. Elizabeth is like, you're mistaken, right? You're mistaken. I have no idea why you're here. And she's like, don't test me, okay? Do not test me. Do not, you know that I am not to be trifled with. Don't consider me someone subordinate. I am the one that should be taken seriously. Don't take this lightly. I am not the one to be taken lightly of. Okay. All right. So she's coming in hot, and she keeps going. She says, but however insincere you may choose to be, you shall not find me so. So insincere, maybe like not genuine, maybe lying. She thinks that she's lying, but however insincere you may choose to be, you gonna lie to me? But just know that you're not gonna find me that way, okay? I'm gonna tell it to you straight. My character has ever been celebrated for its sincerity and frankness. Yeah. So frankness, yeah, honesty, which is tracking for the insincereness, and celebrated for its sincerity. Girl, can we not see yourself right now? But okay. And in a cause of such moment as this, I shall certainly not depart from it. You tested me, I'm gonna test you today. Girl, what is going on? Okay. A report of a most alarming nature reached me 2 days ago. So a letter, I would assume, either in written form or maybe verbally. So either, if we're going down the Darcy path, Darcy either wrote to her and she found out about something 2 days ago, or Darcy said to her in person. But from what we know, he was supposed to be gone for 10 days and then come back to Netherfield. Thanks to you guys for correcting me on that. So coming home, like home base, which was Netherfield. So he was supposed to be gone for 10 days. Now, I believe he was supposed to go to London. And London is a little far, it's a little, it's closer to Kent than where Longbourn is. Maybe he stopped over there. I have no idea. But let's keep going. I was told that not only your sister was on the point of being most advantageously married, but that Miss Elizabeth Bennet would. Now, look at my face. This is so conflicting because in the same moment that I want to smile, I have to do it like this. So it's very conflicting for me, guys. I'm trying my hardest. But he was going to ask again. I was told by Darcy that not only your sister was on the point of being advantageously married, that you also, Miss Elizabeth Bennet, would as well, in all likelihood, be soon afterwards united to my nephew. Yo, can you imagine hearing it from her? Okay, she knows the tea. She knows it. My own nephew, Mr. Darcy. Ooh. And Elizabeth, at this moment, we know that she's going deep into her thoughts right now, guys, because at this moment, she really thought that Darcy was just slipping away from her grasp. Now it's come full circle. We gotta get them together. Gosh, guys, we have 5 chapters, I think. 5 chapters left. That's it. What are we doing? Let's come. Now we got to get them together. But we first got to get through this. Let's go back into Lady Catherine mode. Here we go. Though I know it must be a scandalous falsehood, though I would not injure him so much as to suppose the truth of it possible, I instantly resolved on setting off for this place, that I might make my sentiments known to you. Guys, it has to be a scandalous falsehood. So it ain't coming from Darcy's mouth. There's a rumor. There's a rumor going around, rumor going around Kent that got all the way to Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Is Mr. Collins involved in this, guys? Because Mr. Collins knows all the rumors somehow. He's the clergyman, so he listens to a lot of people. But the rumor got all the way to Lady Catherine de Bourgh that apparently Bingley was going to get engaged to, Mary Jane, and Miss Elizabeth Bennet is next to get married to Darcy, my nephew. So, though I know it has to be a scandalous falsehood, but in any event, I instantly was determined to set off for this place, that I might make my sentiments known to you. And basically, if this isn't, I'm stopping it right here. And also, she says, though I would not injure him so much as to suppose the truth of it possible. So, even thinking about this scandalous rumor would be injurious, would hurt Darcy. And she does have some things going for her. She's the daughter of a gentleman, right? She's part of the landed gentry. She's intelligent. She's smart. She's witty. She's got a good sense of humor. But then you bring in the family objections, and the family's crazy. They don't have as much money as Darcy. They don't have the aristocratic connections. And that's where Lady Catherine de Bourgh is kind of looking and saying, absolutely not. Not on my watch, okay? Oh, man, this is hard. But let's keep it going. Now, Elizabeth has to say something. So she comes and says, well, if you believed it impossible to be true, said Elizabeth, coloring with astonishment and disdain. I wonder you took the trouble of coming so far. What could your ladyship propose by it? So she's kind of asking, like, if you thought it was impossible, why the hell are you here? Why are you here? And she's coloring with astonishment and disdain. Now, interestingly, white for Jane Austen is more of like a hatred, white. Red is more of an embarrassment type of color. So I wonder what type of coloring we're talking about here. It's not like a romantic blush, but I mean, we are talking about Darcy. So I would think that she's still in the astonishment. The disdain kind of gives me a little bit off of a whiteness, but she ain't backing down. I think she's blushing in a way that she's getting heated, guys. And she's coming right at her. She's not afraid to talk to Lady Catherine de Bourgh. She goes, well, if you thought it was impossible, why are you here? Your actions speak louder than words. So what could your ladyship propose of it? Why are you here? Come on, come answer the question. And Lady Catherine comes and says, at once to insist upon having such a report universally contradicted. Okay. Yeah. Checkmate to Lizzie. Yeah, she keeps saying it, at once, insisting upon having these rumors universally false, contradicted, going against what they're saying. That ain't what it seems. You came all the way from Kent to tell me that you think that these rumors are false. She thinks very highly of her nephew. So in order for him to have these feelings, would consider him a fool. So she ain't gonna be thinking like that. But Elizabeth, very coolly, apparently, she goes, well, you're coming to Longbourn to see me and my family, said Elizabeth coolly. Will be rather a confirmation of it, if indeed such a report is in existence. Yeah, once again, checkmate. Girl, don't you see that actions speak louder than words? You're coming all the way over here to be like, the rumor's false, but you're coming over here. That says a lot, okay? I can see what you're doing. And you don't think that this rumor is false, because then why would you drive, or why would you come on carriage all the way from Kent, all the way over here? Okay, all right. Lizzie 1, Lady Catherine de Bourgh 0, but let's keep it going. Lady Catherine de Bourgh comes and says, if, do you then pretend to be ignorant of it? Has it not been industriously circulated by yourselves? Do you not know that such a report is spread abroad? Ooh, Lady Catherine, I mean, she is spiraling. Not in the sense that Mrs. Bennet spirals, but Lady Catherine is just, she is, this is her Hail Mary, guys, right? She still thinks that Elizabeth's lying. Do you then pretend to be ignorant of it, right? Do you pretend to? Because I can see right through you. Has it not been industriously circulated by yourselves? Who do you think you did it? The Bennets? Girl, you are one big contradiction yourself. And do you not know that such a report is spread abroad? She really does think that Elizabeth's lying. But girl, we don't know. We didn't know any of this. And very succinctly, very coolly, calmly, Elizabeth goes, I never heard that it was. Yo. Because at the same time, Lizzie is probably thinking like, potentially my dream can come true. We just got to get it there, guys. So she's on the winning side from what I can see. But Lady Catherine de Bourgh's coming in and says, and can you likewise declare that there is no foundation for it? Now, guys, can you now declare to me that there is no foundation for this scandal, for these rumors that Darcy may ask you for your hand in marriage? Can you tell me? She's being direct now. Now, this is interesting. What is Lizzie going to say here? Because she was already asked once and got rejected. Now, I don't know, right? Because she is very ingratitude towards Darcy, but she doesn't think that Darcy is it back. But now she's hearing that it could have possibly did it, right? Could have possibly did it again, a second time. And she's now come with the question, can you state, can you declare that there is no foundation? Is there anything between Elizabeth and Darcy? Because she better tell it right now. Let's see. She goes, I do not pretend to possess equal frankness with your ladyship. You may ask questions which I shall not choose to answer. She's pleading the fifth. She's like, I'm not gonna be as open and honest as you. I do not pretend to possess such equal honesty that you do. You can ask me questions for whatever questions, but I have the right to answer what I want to answer. Okay, I shall not choose to answer whatever the questions that you're gonna answer. And Lady Catherine de Bourgh comes and says, "This is not to be borne, Miss Bennet. I insist on being satisfied. Has my nephew made you any offer of marriage?" Girl, because I said so. Because I said so. You're going to answer my questions because I said so. Yep, I insist on being satisfied with you answering my questions. Now, satisfied on what she wants to believe, she ain't going to get that. But satisfied with answering questions, Lizzie's holding her own ground, you know? And Lizzie's coming out saying, I don't have to answer your questions. Shoot. And she, Lady Catherine now leaves it on, has Darcy made you an offer of marriage? What is Lizzie going to say? Your ladyship has declared it to be impossible. She's putting her own foot in her own mouth. She's like, you just said that it was impossible. That it was impossible for Darcy to like me and to ask for my hand in marriage. So from your own words, I'm just taking what your own words has told me. So you already said it, that it's impossible. I'm not going to answer. She is playing her like a fiddle, guys. So Lady Catherine de Bourgh now comes and says, I ought it to be so. It must be so, while he retains the use of his reasons. So it has to be false. It must be false. While Darcy remains the use of his reason, that he could rationally think. Girl, that is a big diss. Okay. But your arts and allurements may, in a moment of infatuation, have made him forget what he owes to himself and to all his family. Oh, okay, so it's Lizzie's problem? It's Lizzie's problem that she seduced him with her arts and she allured him to make him infatuated with her? Girl, shut up. Shut up. Don't make me. I'm about this close. Don't make me do it. But yeah, I mean, she's dissing Elizabeth while also trying to just keep some like hope for herself that Darcy isn't going to marry Elizabeth or ask for a marriage for Elizabeth. So yeah, your arts and allurements may, in a moment of infatuation, have made him forget what he owes to himself and to all his family, and you may have drawn him in. Okay. So it's her fault. It's her fault of being a woman. No. We don't do that. Okay. And Elizabeth goes, well, if I have, I shall be the last person to confess it. Yeah, once again, you going to be talking your talk. I am not going to give you. I'm not going to give you. Okay? Leave me the hell alone. Goodbye. All right? I ain't doing this. Sorry. And go on. Good for her. Good for Lizzie. Stand her ground. Because, yeah, it's best to just kind of just quell it out. Just hope that the time goes on and just pass this time. Let her say whatever she's got to say and don't give her anything. But let's keep it going. So Lady Catherine de Bourgh comes in and says, Miss Bennet, do you know who I am? I have not been accustomed to such language as this. Girl, do you know who I am? Yeah, Okay. Okay? I am almost the nearest relation he has in the world, and am entitled to know all his dearest concerns. He's a grown-ass man. He's a grown boy. You don't need to know anything from him, okay? Thank you and goodbye. He has his own estate. He is a grown man who has servants and a whole park that is much larger than yours. Okay, you are not entitled to know everything that goes on for him. Okay? Thank you. She is drawing at straws here. But she's not going to hurt Elizabeth. Elizabeth is cool, calm, and collected because she knows what she knows, and she's just going to keep it going. So let's keep it going. So Lizzie comes back and says, but you are not entitled to know mine. Nor will such behavior as this ever induce me to be explicit. Yeah, you crazy. You're acting crazy. Coming around my house, my park, around my family, talking about this, right? Even though they're outside together, but you ain't coming around here and acting like this in my neck of the woods, girl, okay? Goodbye. So, good for Lizzie. Good for Lizzie. And she is not changing. Because it seems like as this conversation is going forward, Lady Catherine de Bourgh is ramping it up. And hopefully that type of tactic is going to let Elizabeth, buckle, right? But she ain't. She is going to keep it straight. And good for her. Let's keep it going. So Lady Catherine de Bourgh comes back and says, let me be rightfully understood. This match, to which you have the presumption to aspire, okay, can never take place. No, never. Mr. Darcy is engaged to my daughter. Now, what have you to say? You're done. Wow. Wow and no. I don't believe it. Guys, just as much as she heard the rumor about this whole thing, I think she's now coming in with the false report to Lizzie. I think that's how she's spinning it, because every time she's trying to get Lizzie to snap or say something or admit to something, and Lizzie just keeping her ground. So every time Lady Catherine de Bourgh comes back, she's coming in with something even more crazy, right? She just started asking, is this rumor false? Lizzie didn't give her anything. Then she went to, do you have anything going on with you and Darcy? Elizabeth didn't give her anything. Then she went to saying how she tricked her personally. Lizzie didn't give her anything. Then she's now saying, well, guess what? Darcy's now engaged to my daughter. So this could be a rumor, guys. She might just be floundering at this point. So I'm not going to take it for fact. I think she's just superheated and she's saying something just to get Lizzie to say something back that she wants in her favor. So yeah, this relationship, and I think she completely, what am I trying to say? She broke, I guess, because it says here, this match to which you have the presumption to aspire. So she didn't really. She's still saying that you know all about this. She's still calling her a liar. You have the presumption to aspire to do this from your own end. It's never going to happen. Darcy's going to be engaged to my daughter. Now, what do you have to say about that? And Elizabeth comes back and says, only this, that if he is so, you can have no reason to suppose he will make an offer to me. Yeah, once again, girl, you are crazy. You're crazy, okay? You are crazy and you're making absolutely no sense. Because once again, if you didn't think this was happening, and now that he's engaged to the daughter, why are you here? You are lying, and you're spreading rumors in real time. I'm not believing it. I don't believe it for 1 second. It's not clocking in. No, I won't believe it. So, and Lizzie sees right through her too. Like, if that's so, you don't have any reason to A, come over here, and B, to suppose that he even made an offer to me. right? Okay. Lady Catherine hesitated for a moment and then replied, oh, okay. All right, here we go. The engagement between them is of a peculiar kind. Yeah, because they're cousins, right? Why would we marry the cousins? Which I understand it was a thing back then, and in certain parts it apparently still is. So each his own, right, guys? But it is a peculiar kind. From their infancy, they have been intended for each other. Yeah, and whose mind? Yourself and yourself only? Me, myself, and I? Okay. So, yeah, from their babies, from their infancy, they have been intended for each other. As if the two sisters planned to have them, planned to have babies just for this sake. But I believe that they're different in age. Okay, I think she's spiraling, but let's keep it going. It was the favorite wish of her mother, as well as of hers. Yeah. So, kind of like I said, like the moms intended. And apparently, Miss de Bourgh intended it as well. But from what we saw, and Elizabeth saw firsthand as well, Miss de Bourgh, Miss de Bourgh, Miss de Bourgh, Lady Anne, not like this. Nah. She's very, very demure, she doesn't really speak much. So I can't see that. But anyway, let's keep it going. While in their cradles, we planned the union. So maybe they are closer in age than I thought they were. I thought maybe Anne was younger than Darcy. But they could be of the same age. But apparently, while in their cradles, we planned the union. And now, at the moment when the wishes of both sisters would be accomplished, is their marriage to be prevented by a young woman of inferior birth, of no importance in the world, and wholly unallied to the family. Girl, you blew yourself up, okay? Yeah. Oopsie. Surprise on you. Once again, you know it's true. The report probably came from Darcy. So she's making up rumors on the spot. Because she's saying here, is their marriage to be prevented by a young woman? If they were really engaged, what is preventing it? It seems like she especially, we can't talk for Darcy's mother because unfortunately she's deceased, but from her, right, she has this plan. She thinks that they're going to get engaged. And now when the time's come and maybe she was trying to get them two together, maybe Darcy was like, nah, I'm going my own way. So, yeah. Anything else in here? Now the moment when the wishes of both sisters would be accomplished, like as if they planned this, is the marriage to be prevented by you, who is inferior in both. But she's landed gentry as well. I mean, that's super high up in the Regency era. Not no earl or baron or anything like that. Doesn't have the word lady in front of her name. But, still, it's the landed gentry. Of no importance in the world. Girl, we're still landed gentry, right? Okay. But wholly unallied to the family. Yeah, she wants to keep it in the family. But, Darcy says otherwise, but let's keep it going. Do you pay no regard to the wishes of his friends? It seems like, yeah, maybe he wants to do one thing and the friends, aka the fam, wants to do another. So, do you pay no regard to the wishes of his friends? To his tacit engagement with Miss de Bourgh? She is, what is going on here, right? Tacit engagement now. 5 seconds ago, he was engaged to Miss de Bourgh. Now it's a tacit engagement, aka it hasn't been spoken to. What? Girl, you should just go home. You need like a Motrin, you need an Advil, but they didn't have that back then. You need some alcohol. That's what you need, okay? Have the whole bottle while you're going back to Kent. All right, because that's really what we need at this point. But yeah. So she's spiraling, she's contradicting herself left and right. Just go on home, okay? Have a good day. But yeah. Are you lost to every feeling of propriety and delicacy? Have you not heard me say that from his earliest hours he was destined for his cousin? Girl, this was all in the same paragraph. She didn't even get a word in. Elizabeth didn't even get a word in. And at the beginning of the paragraph, Catherine de Bourgh was like, they were destined in the cradles, right, at infancy. Elizabeth didn't say anything. Couldn't even get a word in, if she even did want to say anything. And now at the end, she's saying, have you not heard me say that from his earliest hours he was destined? Like, girl, this was in the whole same thing. What are you talking about? I mean, she is floundering. She's spiraling. She is trying something. Because once again, if Lady Anne doesn't marry Darcy, that's kind of like a no-no for Lady Catherine, right? She wants to have the Pemberley estate with her own family. So, yeah, it seems like it's only coming from her. But let's keep it going. Now, this is Elizabeth. And from this, she's ready. She's ready to talk. She's not going to be concise here, but let's see what's happening. She says, yes, and I have heard it before. She has. So she's not lying, guys. She heard it before. If I remember correctly, I think it was Colonel Fitzwilliam, right? His cousin, who basically offhandedly said that, Darcy and Miss de Bourgh were supposed to marry. I don't know if I heard it before that. I don't think it would be from Caroline because she wanted to marry Darcy. So why would she be saying that he was going to marry somebody else? So it was, I remember that it was Fitzwilliam. Was it anybody else? I don't think it was Collins. That would be the only other person that I would think of. But I know definitely it was Fitzwilliam. So she ain't lying here. Yes, I have heard it before. But what is that to me? If there is no other objection to marrying your nephew, I shall certainly not be kept from it by knowing that his mother and aunt wished him to marry Miss de Bourgh. And guys, I think there it is. She's basically like, oh, well, if I were to marry him, I wouldn't deny it. I wouldn't say no if you guys wanted to prevent it from me. So clearly she's done. Elizabeth is done. And if there is no other objection to my marrying your nephew, I shall certainly not be kept from it by knowing that his mother and aunt wished him to marry somebody else. So if there was a marriage proposal, I would have said yes. Not, I would not say no because of this. So Lizzie is done. She's like, you keep talking to me? Okay, I'm going to talk to you back. And you both did as much as you could in planning the marriage. Now, you both, meaning obviously Lady Catherine and probably her sister. And, we don't know if that's really true or not. It could be. And we don't really know Darcy's mom's personality, but maybe she was very similar to Lady Catherine. I mean, they were sisters, but maybe she was opposite. So you both did as much as you could in planning the marriage. Its completion depended on others. Yeah, aka the people that are involved in it, right? Darcy and Miss de Bourgh. And if Mr. Darcy is neither by honor nor inclination confirmed to his cousin, why is not he to make another choice? Right, if he's not bound by honor or inclination, that he doesn't even want to be confined to Miss de Bourgh, he can't make another choice. It's not in the rule book. No, because remember, it was a tacit engagement. Now we know, right, which isn't even spoken to. And if I am that choice, why may not I accept him? Yeah, if it comes down to me, why can't I say yeah? Right? If that's the one that he wants to go for and it's me, why can't I accept him? Interesting. But she's going to come back. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is not going to like this. She says, because honor, decorum, prudence, nay, interest forbid it. Yes, Miss Bennet, interest. So here's all the reasons why this wedding should not happen. For Darcy's honor, right? That he's going to go against the family. For his decorum. And for his prudence, right? He's totally wise enough to not do this, apparently. But for the actual interest, which is Elizabeth, that forbids it. Yes, Miss Bennet, interest. For do not expect to be noticed by his family or friends if you willfully act against the inclinations of all. If you go against us, this is your ultimatum. If you go against us, you will not be acknowledged. You will not be noticed by the family nor by the friends. But, Bingley's with Jane now, okay? That's one of the friends, and they're besties, Bingley and Darcy. And who cares? Who cares if we're not noticed by you? Because apparently I don't even want to be noticed by you. You unruly girl. So that's not going to stop me. But that's one of the things she's saying. And you will be censured, slighted, and despised by everyone connected with him. So, and it's interesting how it's you, but nothing for Darcy as well. But Darcy would never allow that. He is not going to allow this. He is not going to allow his woman to get slighted and despised by. Absolutely not. I can't see him doing that. Your alliance will be a disgrace. Your name will never even be mentioned by any of us. Girl, this is not a reason. If you think that this has any weight, it doesn't. So, yeah, I think now she's trying to just show how overbearing and how much power she has over this marriage. But the conversation is taking a turn because now she's clearly saying, without saying it, that she's alluding to that this is actually going to happen. Like, Darcy is going to ask you for your hand in marriage, and you better not accept it. These are not words that mean that this is a rumor. Not at all. But let's keep it going. Elizabeth comes back and says, well, these are heavy misfortunes, replied Elizabeth, but the wife of Mr. Darcy must have such extraordinary sources of happiness necessarily attached to her situation that she could, upon the whole, have no cause to repine. And that's exactly what I'm saying. That these what you're saying, these are heavy misfortunes, and I'm sure she's saying it with some type of sarcasm. But the wife of Mr. Darcy, she's even putting it out there like I could potentially be the wife of Darcy, must have extraordinary sources of happiness that's attached with her situation at being the mistress of Pemberley and everything that comes with being the wife of Darcy. That she could, upon the whole, have no cause to be sad about these misfortunes. Like, girl, come at me, because I'm not going to back down. So, go on, come on. So she needs to, Lady Catherine de Bourgh needs to, she's trying to, at least, take Elizabeth down verbally. But Elizabeth is standing her ground. So she is getting her bearings. She definitely has her bearings. And she's doing a good job fighting her off, but here we go. Let's keep it going. Oh, obstinate, headstrong girl. I am ashamed of you. Okay. Is this your gratitude for my attentions to you last spring? Girl, well, the past is a past, okay? So, and I love how now it's a personal attack. It's personal, okay? This is your gratitude for how I treated you last spring when you came into Rosings Park, okay? Is nothing due to me on that score? I allowed you to come to my house twice a week with the Collinses to eat dinner. Girl, you just didn't want to be alone. You just needed people to come over to show that you had this grand stuff in your house. So, she's saying, I did all that for you. So you could do something for me. Let us sit down. You ought to understand, Miss Bennet, that I came here with the determined resolution of carrying my purpose. This is not a rumor. Because once again, if it was a rumor, why are you here? Why are you here? Nor will I be dissuaded from it. I have not been used to submit to any person's whims. I have not been in the habit of booking disappointment. Well, you've come to the wrong house and barked up the wrong tree. Let me tell you that much, okay? But Elizabeth's not going to back down. I mean, the more that Lady Catherine de Bourgh is coming at her, the more that she could possibly think, Elizabeth, that she could be Mrs. Darcy, right? So she's just adding better fuel for Elizabeth. But let's keep it going. So Elizabeth comes back and says, "That will make your ladyship's situation at present more pitiable, but it will have no effect on me." Yeah. So this whole shebang, if I am Mrs. Darcy, it's not going to be super pitiable for you. But I'm good. I'm good because I'm going to be in utmost felicity if I get the chance. And once again, as this conversation is going, it's a lot of alluding here because not one of them is directly saying what they want to say. But through the wordings here, they're kind of dropping what they're saying. So, like, Elizabeth hasn't come out directly and said, like, oh, something between Darcy and I are going on. But through her wordings now, it's clear that she's like, I would be okay if I was Mrs. Darcy. I would be so happy. And now here, that's going to make your situation very pitiable, but that's not going to have an effect on me. So it's interesting. And Lady Catherine de Bourgh is not going to like that. She says, "Well, I will not be interrupted. Hear me in silence. My daughter and my nephew are formed for each other. They are descended on the maternal side from the same noble line, and on the father's from respectable, honourable, and ancient, though untitled families." So interesting, right? Because they are of one on the mother's side, on the maternal side, that they are descended from herself and her sister, who is Darcy's mom, the same noble line. But on the father's side, she's got to put in a word there, respectable, honorable, ancient line, but untitled, which isn't that Elizabeth? Like, wouldn't that be the same? I mean, the Bennets, they're landed gentry, they're an ancient line, I would assume. Would we say respectable? Would we still say honorable? I mean, they are crazy, but Elizabeth is respectable. I would say she has tons of honor. And it's interesting that she's trying to pin it on the dad's side in a way that's not as big as the mom's side, but she's still trying to make it seem like, they are much more important. And she keeps going, "Their fortune on both sides is splendid. They are destined for each other by the voice of every member of their respective houses." We're not even listening at this point anymore. And I'm sure Elizabeth isn't listening either, right? And that's another thing. They have tons of money on both sides, not as much as the Bennets. So their fortune on both sides is splendid. They are destined for each other. Okay. By the voice of every member of their respective houses. But I mean, we got no members left. There's like 2 members. You and the daughter that you're trying to marry off, right? Everybody else, I think, is deceased. And what is to divide them? The upstart pretensions of a young woman without family connections or fortune? Yo. Is this to be endured? But it must not, it shall not be. If you were sensible of your own good, you would not wish to quit the sphere in which you have been brought up. Wow. AKA, stay in your own lane. Don't come into mine. Yo. But this is going to fuel Elizabeth even more because she'll take these types of situations and just use it for her own betterment. But she's, Lady Catherine de Bourgh is coming in, You think that a young woman without family, connections, or fortune is going to break this up? Yikes. It can't be. It shall not be. And if you were sensible of your own good, if you were wise enough, you would not wish to quit the sphere in which you have been brought up. AKA, don't leave your own lane and try to come into ours. Oh, girl. Elizabeth goes, Well, in marrying your nephew, I should not consider myself as quitting that sphere. He is a gentleman, and I am a gentleman's daughter. So far, we are equal. Yeah, I mean, that's what I said earlier, that they're still part of the landed gentry. And Darcy, I don't think, has a name. He's not Lord Darcy, Baron, Earl, right? So they are in the same sphere. And, credit is where credit's due, because Lady Catherine de Bourgh says, well, true, you are a gentleman's daughter, but what was your mother? Who are your uncles and aunts? Do not imagine me ignorant of their condition. Because they're from trade? They're from trade? But, I mean, I remember kind of talking in the comments with you guys, and she married into a higher class. So she is forgetting where she came from what I'm trying to remember from my conversation with you guys, that it was only through marriage that she got this lady title. So, she doesn't really remember that now. But what about your mother? Who are your uncles and aunts? They're in trade, right? One is, I think, a lawyer. The other one is the gardeners. But, I mean, they're still very respectful people. But Lady Catherine de Bourgh says, absolutely not. Do you imagine me ignorant of this condition? Because I know everything about you, apparently. And Elizabeth comes and says, well, whatever my connections may be, said Elizabeth, if your nephew does not object to them, they can be nothing to you. Yeah, give it to her, Lizzie. So if it's good for Darcy, that's all that matters. Who cares about you? Because once again, he owns Netherfield. He is the man. Like your input means absolutely nothing here. So if Darcy doesn't object to them, they can be nothing to you. Nobody cares. Well, let's continue on. Tell me, once for all, are you engaged to him? And I think here it is. We finally have come to the point where, just like I said, both of them haven't really told directly why they're here, or that's for Lady Catherine's side. And for Elizabeth, she hasn't really directly come out and said, like, we're engaged, or we had relations, or he asked me once. None of that. But through the wordings, we have finally arrived here. And this is what it is. That it hasn't been a rumor. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is now like, is this the truth? Right? And Elizabeth, on the other hand, is like, I'm kind of digging your nephew. So tell me, once for all, are you engaged to him? And though Elizabeth would not, for the mere purpose of obliging Lady Catherine, have answered this question, she could not but say, after a moment's deliberation, I am not. Which is the truth. And Lady Catherine seemed pleased. Yeah, she would not have answered this question. She could not but say, right, for the mere purpose of just going with what Lady Catherine de Bourgh has said. But she said it anyway. She says, well, no, I'm not. And Lady Catherine seemed pleased at that moment. And will you promise me never to enter into such an agreement? Well, you ask him for too much. And what does Elizabeth say? Yeah, I will make no promise of that kind. Yeah, you're asking way too much, okay? So we've done a little bit here, but you're asking, once again, questions, and I don't feel obliged to answer you. So, yeah, I'm not going to make any promise of that kind. Miss Bennet, I am shocked and astonished. I expected to find a more reasonable young woman. Girl, goodbye, okay? Whatever. Your title and your position and who you are doesn't bother me. But do not deceive yourself into a belief that I will ever recede. I shall not go away till you have given me the assurance I require. Yeah. So she's like, I'm going to keep fighting for this marriage between Darcy and my daughter. And I am not going to go away. I am not going to recede. I'm not going to track back, go into the shadows. No, nothing like that. So I'm going to keep working for it. So you're going to keep seeing me again. But Elizabeth's going to be like, okay, what do you want me to say? Well, let's keep it going. And Elizabeth says, and I certainly never shall give it. Go on, girl. Say it. Say it out loud. I will never give that promise to you. You will never have the satisfaction of me trying to oblige you on this. But once again, also, at this point in time, she's still, I mean, she has to think that Darcy is not going out the door at this point. You know, she is in gratitude towards him. She has some great affection for him. And now she's starting to see like, oh, shoot, this is closer than what I thought. So, of course, she's going for her own dreams and wishes. Here we go. And I certainly never shall give it. I am not to be intimidated into anything so wholly unreasonable. Yeah, you can't make me back down. I'm going to stand up for something that if it happens, let it be. Your ladyship wants Mr. Darcy to marry your daughter, which is truth. But would my giving you the wished-for promise make their marriage at all more probable? Yeah, right? If I give you the A-OK, that still doesn't make it that it's going to happen, right? Because maybe Darcy might have other things going on. Maybe your daughter has other things going on. It doesn't make it seem like that marriage might be any more probable just because I say, yeah, you know what? A-OK. That's right. Okay. Supposing him to be attracted to me, would my refusing to accept his hand make him wish to bestow it on his cousin? Yeah, she's asking the right questions, you know. Supposing that he is attracted to me and I refuse him, you think that he's just going to bounce back onto your daughter? Okay, let's keep it going. And allow me to say, Lady Catherine, that the arguments with which you have supported this extraordinary application have been as frivolous as the application was ill-judged. Girl, go on and say it. You're crazy, okay? We need to check her in somewhere because this woman is completely off her rocker. And Elizabeth is not afraid to say it, that, you know, the arguments which you have supported this extraordinary application that you think that I'm going to refuse has been frivolous as the application was ill-judged. You're crazy. I mean, just to put it simply, you coming over here and acting like this and then making this request, you are crazy, okay? And, yeah. And especially because Lady Catherine was like, do you know who I am? Yeah, apparently, and you crazy girl, okay? Now, you have widely mistaken my character. If you think I can be worked on by such persuasions as these, which I would check on that. You don't know who I am, okay? So, yeah, she's like turning the tables now here, guys. How far your nephew might approve of your interference in his affairs, I cannot tell. Yeah, she won't speak for Darcy. How far he might, agree with your interference, I don't know. I can't say for that. I'm not him. But you have certainly no right to concern yourself in mine. Yeah, leave my house, my part of the woods, go on, get out of here. And I must beg, therefore, to be importune no further on the subject. Yeah, leave me alone. Are we done here? Because I want to go back into the house and have some refreshments just for me. So, yeah, we done? We good? Thank you. She's trying to end the conversation. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to end that easy. So, Lady Catherine de Bourgh says, not so hasty, if you please. Yeah, we ain't going to end this on your terms. I have by no means done. Yeah, what else are we going to say? I mean, you said what you had to say. To all the objections I have already urged, I have still another to add. What is it? You talked about the family. You talked about, the fortune. You talked about your daughter. What other objection is there? I am no stranger to the particulars of your younger sister's infamous elopement. Yeah, because we know Collins talked about it to you. And he said so in his letter. I went to Rosings. I went to Rosings and I talked to her. Okay, that's great. That's exactly what we needed to hear, yes. And I know it's all that the young man's marrying her was a patched-up business at the expense of your father and uncle. I mean, it was a patched-up business, but does she know that Darcy was the one? Does she know? I guess not, because it's at the expense of your father and uncle. Maybe because it's at the expense of the fam, right? Obviously, the family reputation and its ruination if it wasn't patched up. And is such a girl to be my nephew's sister? Is her husband, who is the son of his late father's steward, to be his brother? Heaven and earth! Of what are you thinking? Are the shades of Pemberley to be thus polluted? So now she's, oof, And once again, Lydia's Lydia, but you are not coming around talking like that about my sister. Absolutely not. You could get the hell go on, get out of here. No, I don't like it. But that's what she's coming in now with. Okay, is that the other objection? Okay, that basically with all this stuff, that now Darcy's name is going to be tainted and that the shades of Pemberley are going to be polluted with this family stuff. She doesn't think so. Heaven and earth, absolutely not. But it seems like I don't think she knows that Darcy was the one that spent the money to clear this all up. But let's keep it going. So now Elizabeth comes and says, "You can now have nothing further to say," she resentfully answered. "You have insulted me in every possible method, and I must beg to return to the house." Yeah, I'm done. And it was an insult, right? Because now you're coming in and talking about this crazy thing that we all had to endure. I mean, the ups and downs of everything in between about the whole Lydia situation. She's going to come and dangle it above Elizabeth's head and say how, I know all about this. So, yeah, at some point, you have to kind of just say, this is enough. And Elizabeth says, you have insulted me in every possible method. And she did. But at the same time, she's still going to say yes if the proposal comes, guys. But that's the thing. When is it going to happen? We got 5 chapters left. And she rose as she spoke, and Lady Catherine rose also, and they turned back. Her ladyship was highly incensed. Highly aggravated. A lot of anger for Lady Catherine de Bourgh, because she didn't get what she wanted. Oh, was she throwing a little tantrum? Was this an adult tantrum? Yeah. This is somebody who has never been said no in their whole entire life to. That they can just think that they can come wherever they want, steamroll all over you until they get what they want. But Elizabeth didn't give it to her. So she's now throwing a complete, that whole thing, it was a complete tantrum, guys. But she's not done yet. So Lady Catherine de Bourgh says, "You have no regard, then, for the honor and credit of my nephew. Unfeeling, selfish girl. Do you not consider that a connection with you must disgrace him in the eyes of everybody?" This is the last attempt. This is like the Hail Mary of the Hail Mary of the Hail Mary. It is clear that he will ask again. That's what it says to me. Because now we're not talking about any rumors, guys, anymore. She's coming right out and saying, she's going, right in and basically saying, what? You have no regard for my nephew. Like, this is for sure. It seems like it's going to happen. Do you not consider the connection with you that must disgrace him in the eyes of everybody? She's already been through this, guys, with Darcy himself on the first proposal. And he's fine with it. He said that he had to get through it, but he was fine. And he still loved her and wanted her to accept his hand in marriage. But Elizabeth comes and says, "Lady Catherine, I have nothing further to say. You know my sentiments." Yeah, and I love it. She has boundaries, and she's going to put them up, and you ain't going to break them back down. So, but, Lady Catherine is Lady Catherine. She's going to try to have the final say. She says, "Well, you are then resolved to have him?" Meaning you're determined to maybe say yes to have him as your husband, maybe? So once again, this ain't no rumor, guys. That's not what I'm seeing. And Elizabeth says, "Well, I have said no such thing. I am only resolved to act in that manner, which will, in my opinion, constitute my happiness, without reference to you or to any person so wholly unconnected with me." And Elizabeth, give it right to her, honestly, because once again, I'm not going to answer any questions that I don't want to answer, which boundaries is a beautiful thing, guys. But that's what she's saying. I've said no such thing. I have not said that he asked for my hand in marriage, that he's going to ask for my hand in marriage, that we're engaged. I didn't tell you anything, and I ain't going to tell you anything. And she is only determined to act in a manner that will make her the happiest of happiness. So without saying it, she's alluding to, if he does ask me, I'm going to say yes. And guess what? Since you're unconnected to me, I don't care what you think. I don't care at all. I'm not going to reference you. I don't care. You're unconnected to me. And that's how it's going to be. Girl, the best diss track in the world. Let's do this. But Lady Catherine being Lady Catherine, she isn't going to allow that to be the last sentence. She goes, "It is well. You refuse, then, to oblige me." Yeah, I mean, she said it from the get. Like, girl, no, I'm not going to answer any questions that, if I don't feel like answering them, I'm not going to answer them. "You refuse to obey the claims of duty, honor, and gratitude. You are determined to ruin him in the opinion of all his friends and make him the contempt of the world." I mean, as this conversation is going, I'll keep saying it, but as this conversation is going, it seems like he is going to come and ask for her hand in marriage again, which, I mean, smile, smile, smile. I'm very, very happy. But at the same time, I can't. She's just too much, guys. I cannot at this point. But it seems that it's going to happen. Her wordings here are much different from the beginning of this chapter. You are determined to ruin him in the opinion of all of his friends. Like, he's going to ask you. And if you say no, think about him. Like, think about how he's going to be ruined and how he's going to be the contempt of the world. It seems like it's going to happen, guys. But we have like no book left. But let's keep it going. And Elizabeth wants to say her piece as well. So she says, "Neither duty nor honor and nor gratitude," replied Elizabeth, "has any possible claim on me in the present instance." And once again, there it is. Like, duty, honor, gratitude. I don't owe you anything. So just stop it with the duty, the honor, the gratitude. That has no possible claim on me. That any of those things are going to not make me say yes if the opportunity arises. And no principle of either would be violated by my marriage with Mr. Darcy. Ooh, this is the first one, I think. She has said it. That, maybe it could be. Maybe it could be that she's thinking about, I could actually be married with Darcy. But no principle of these would be violated by me agreeing to be the mistress and marrying Darcy. And with regard to the resentment of his family, or the indignation of the world, if the former were excited by his marrying me, it would not give me one moment's concern. Yeah. So that's talking about the former, which is the family, which is the resentment, how they would resent Elizabeth if she decides to come into the family. And she's like, I'm not concerned about that because, yeah, there's Lady Catherine de Bourgh and Miss Anne, but there's Georgiana, the sister of Darcy. And Georgiana and Elizabeth got along great. I don't think that she would resent this marriage at all, honestly, guys. It's literally just Lady Catherine. I don't even think Anne would care. It doesn't seem like she would be the type to care or resent for this matter as well. She's probably being forced to get into the marriage with Darcy from her mother's side. So she's like, nah, I don't care about that. And the world in general would have too much sense to join in the scorn. Yeah. So that's the last part, the indignation of the world. Basically, I know that the world doesn't revolve around me, so they're too wise, they're too sensical to join in this like you're doing. You're wild and crazy, and just stop it, because the world, aka everybody else, don't care about this. Thank you very much. But let's keep it going. Lady Catherine de Bourgh comes and says, and this is your real opinion? This is your final resolve? Very well. I shall not know how to act. Do not imagine, Miss Bennet, that your ambition will ever be gratified. I came to try you. I hope to find you reasonable, but depend upon it, I will carry my point. Yeah, basically what you said 2 hours ago, where you're like, I'm not going to back down. It's the same conclusion we're at here. She tried it a different way. The same conclusion is coming down, that I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to go into the shadows. I will try to still carry out my point. And at the beginning, and this is your opinion. I mean, she made a good opinion. This is your final decision that you're going to go forward with this? Very well. Seems like it's coming to an end. So, and now she's like, I'm baffled by this because nobody acts like this around me. But don't imagine that your ambition of trying to get him. But clearly she, it was all from Darcy's side that he's going to be the one to ask. But Lady Catherine de Bourgh thinks that she's a liar and that she started it all. Okay. So, yeah. Now, in this manner, Lady Catherine talked on till they were at the door of the carriage, when, turning hastily round, she added. So, they're still walking together, and Elizabeth's going to see her out, and Lady Catherine is just talking with menace, resentfully, until they're at the carriage. She turns around and says, I take no leave of you, Miss Bennet. I send no compliments to your mother. You deserve no such attention. I am most seriously displeased. Oh, she's so sad. She's mad, guys, and she's displeased. Oh. Goodbye. Let me shut the door for you, okay? The carriage door's open. Whop. Goodbye. Have a nice life. Bye. Yes. Goodbye. Goodbye. And once again, she's going to come back, talk to her mother about it. Maybe. I don't know. That's a big discussion. Because if Mrs. Bennet hears about it, I mean, she's going to do a complete 180. And she's going to be like, Darcy, have him come on over again. Anything for the marriage, guys. But if she did hear about how terrible Lady Catherine just went into it with Elizabeth, Mrs. Bennet would, completely destroy Lady Catherine verbally. She would be talking about her. That's what I think. Because you don't cross the daughters unless there's a marriage involved. But, yes. Now, Elizabeth made no answer, and without attempting to persuade her ladyship to return into the house, walked quietly into it herself. Yeah. She's not even going to say goodbye, no nothing, which is also very uncivil that I can see here. But Elizabeth didn't even attempt to tell her, oh, come in the house, say bye. She just walked off. And she heard the carriage drive away as she proceeded upstairs. Her mother impatiently met her at the door of her dressing room to ask why Lady Catherine would not come in again and rest herself. Yeah, where'd she go? You guys apparently left to look about the wilderness, the prettyishness of the wilderness, and now she just went in the carriage and dropped off. Like, what's the problem? What happened, right? And Elizabeth says, well, she did not choose it, said her daughter. She would go. Yeah, so, she's not lying. She did not choose to come inside. She was like, I'm not giving your mother any compliments. I'm done. I take no leave from you. I'm not saying bye. Goodbye, And she just got into the carriage. But, so she's not really lying there. She did not choose it. She just wanted to go. So that's going to say something to Mrs. Bennet. But Elizabeth's not going to be telling anything. She has to kind of decompress this. Probably maybe talk to Jane about it, if I had to guess, to see what is going on here. Because honestly, what is going on? Now, Mrs. Bennet comes back and says, well, she is a very fine-looking woman, and her calling here was prodigiously civil, for she only came, I suppose, to tell us the Collinses were well. From what they heard, that's what it was. They asked, oh, how's the Collins doing? Oh, they're good. Okay, Lizzie, can I talk to you in the garden? Let me look at the garden. So, Mrs. Bennet doesn't know anything. If she did know, she wouldn't be saying any of this. I can guarantee you that. But as for what she knows of her, she's like, oh, she was, fine-looking woman. But apparently, she was uncivil. But Mrs. Bennet, because of the social status, she is a lady, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, so she's going to say, she was prodigiously civil. She's higher up on the ranks. She is on her road somewhere, I dare say, and so passing through Meryton, thought she might as well call on you. I suppose you had nothing particular to say to Lizzie? Girl, she had a lot to say to me, okay? But we'll keep that for another day. Now, Elizabeth was forced to give in to a little falsehood here. Yeah, she's got to decompress. So, I suppose she had nothing particular to say to you? No, she didn't really say anything in particular to me. That's the falsehood, given to a little falsehood here. For to acknowledge the substance of their conversation was impossible. And yeah, she has to. We don't know anything that's really going through her thoughts right now, that we need that information. So maybe we'll get that next chapter, but she definitely, I would think, wants to talk about this to Jane. But it is not, as far as what I see, it is not a rumor. Darcy was going to ask Elizabeth again. Guys, we have to get them together. Let's go. Okay, guys, what just happened? Lady Catherine de Bourgh traveled all the way from Kent to Longbourn because she heard a rumor that Jane was going to marry Bingley and that Elizabeth might marry her nephew, Darcy, next. And she came here with one mission, guys. She wanted to make Elizabeth promise that she would never, ever, ever marry Darcy, ever. And instead, I think Lady Catherine de Bourgh did more for this relationship than anyone else that did in this whole entire novel. Because Elizabeth didn't know that the rumor existed in the first place. She didn't know that anyone thought that Darcy was still wanting to marry her after everything they've been through. She has been sitting here wondering if Darcy still loved her, even after she rejected him that first go-around. And Lady Catherine de Bourgh just rolled up on into Longbourn saying, people think that you are going to marry my nephew and I need to stop this immediately. Elizabeth was probably thinking, wait, people think what? And then Lady Catherine de Bourgh tries to proceed with the rest of the conversation, just trying to get Elizabeth to say, I would never marry Mr. Darcy. And Elizabeth would not say it. So, guys, we don't need to figure out Elizabeth's feelings anymore. If Darcy asks again, this girl is saying yes. So, we just need to get these guys together somehow. All right, so current standings. Elizabeth now knows that if Darcy asks again, she is gonna say yes, guys. Darcy is completely absent, but somehow was the main character in this whole entire chapter. Lady Catherine came to play, guys. She came to try to stop the marriage. But she may have accidentally advanced the plot for us a little bit. Anne is apparently engaged to Darcy only according to her mother. Mrs. Bennet has absolutely no idea what just happened in her own backyard. And me, waiting to see what happens next, guys. We need to get them together. Let's go. All right, so you guys know the drill by now. Let's get some water in or your drink of choice. Let's hydrate up. And when you are ready, I shall see you for chapter 57. Let's do this, guys. We are almost at the end. Let's go. Kiki?